So our final topic today is expand touchless and accessible operation to more doors for less. The demo will be presented by Aaron Krasich, product manager for Allegion. Aaron, over to you.
All right, thank you. Let's see. All right, well, that was a pretty good tee up. So I will be talking to you guys today about touchless and accessible operations to more doors for less. And I'll get into what less means. Hopefully it's less complexity, less labor, and ultimately less cost. So just kind of closing out the intro here, I think some of this housekeeping has already been hit on at the start of this. So I believe you will be muted throughout my presentation, but please don't let that stop you from submitting your Q&A there at the bottom. I'll do my best to answer as many questions as I can at the end of this. And throughout my time with you guys today, I will be talking through opportunities for facilities to expand touchless and accessible operations with the use of our new LCN compact automatic operator. So as mentioned, my name is Erin. I'm a product manager at Allegion. I've been with the company a few years, and I've been involved in the development and launch of the LCN compact operator from really start to launch. So very close to it, very excited about it, and excited to be talking through it all with you today. So the agenda that I have for the next 15 minutes or so is to first just kind of hit on how to respond to new market challenges, including health and well-being and how to best protect that, and improving accessibility. I will then move on to opportunities to automate more openings and the growing use of automatic operators across facilities and their use to mitigate risk and provide code compliance in a facility. I'll briefly hit on government funding that's available that can be used to accomplish this additional automation, and then point you to some additional resources where you can learn more. And then finally, I will introduce the LCN compact automatic operator and just kind of hit on an overview, some features and benefits and common applications that we'd love to see it in. So first up, responding to new challenges. This kind of breaks out into two different sections. So first and foremost, the increased focus on protecting health and well-being in the market and in facilities. So a recent study conducted by Allegion showed that automating entryways is among the top 10 measures being implemented to combat COVID-19. So certainly understand that facilities are juggling a lot, in some cases with fewer resources being asked to do more, and that there's a lot that comes to the top of the list of what needs to be handled or updated to protect the health and well-being of those in the building. No surprise, not telling you guys anything new, that COVID has really caused people to reevaluate their daily routine, with health and well-being now being at the top of the list. And per CDC guidance, facilities are putting additional measures in place to help protect the health of building occupants. So again, while I know HVAC is being updated, I know traffic flow patterns are being configured and adjusted, plexiglass is being put up. Among that list is also door hardware, because it is a high touch surface area. I think about how many times I touch the handle going into the bathroom in an average building. So that is an opportunity for focus to mitigate transmission risk by reducing the need to touch as many high surface contact areas. In addition to health and well-being, there's a continued and perhaps increasing focus on accessibility. So the Americans with Disabilities Act isn't new, not here to introduce ADA to you. I know it's been in effect since the 90s, but there is continued litigation on this code. There are stricter regional building codes that are being implemented in some areas. I know geographically there's more likelihood for civil lawsuits to be filed or something to be featured and highlighted if something isn't quite up to code. So there's an ever evolving need of reliable accessibility in a facility, in addition to touchless access for health and well-being. Another survey that Allegion conducted indicated that decision makers in a facility are increasingly making changes to door hardware to make it ADA compliant. So again, just kind of reiterating that increasing, evolving need to improve and provide accessible and reliable accessibility across a facility to be compliant with Americans with Disabilities Act. All in that vein, what we're starting to see is an increased automation of more openings. So previously, when I came into this role a few years ago, what I normally heard a lot about was automatic operators being on exterior doors. So I know they're not required on exterior doors, but it's harder to be ADA compliant on an exterior door because of those thresholds of what the force cannot exceed to get the door to open while still needing a reliable amount of force to close the door, overcoming wind and so on and so forth. So there's always kind of been this history of having automatic operators on exterior openings to be ADA compliant. In addition to that, what we are seeing is that interior entryways are starting to be automated more as well to mitigate risk. Again, risk being civil complaint for lack of ADA compliance or touchless or lack of touchless high contact surface area in light of COVID and all those risks. So a survey conducted reflected this increasing automation of interior openings such as restrooms, common areas, offices, classrooms, patient rooms. So kind of shifting this focus away from automatic operators just being needed for exterior openings and now being something that's in consideration and having changes implemented for interior openings to improve the experience once you get in the building, not just getting into the building as well. So again, this risk mitigation encompasses a few things. So by automating these interior openings, it eliminates a hazard of having another high contact surface area that someone touches and then goes and eats lunch or whatever, and accessible operations. So again, ensuring that even interior openings are meeting opening force, speed requirements, and maneuvering clearances. I know something like an older university has a lot of little narrow hallways to get to a restroom. So in a case like that, an automatic operator may enable a smoother entrance to a restroom where closing force isn't necessarily the risk at hand. So all that said, opportunity to automate, increasing need to automate, increasing applications where automation is accepted and being implemented. And then kind of comes the question of cost and what it takes to actually automate all of these openings. So a few relief funds are available, and there is a webinar that I'll point you to from here. I'm not the expert on these funds to kind of show you where you can find more information. So there is a Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund and an Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund that can be used to improve the conditions of a facility, whether that is through touchless automation to reduce risk in accordance with CDC guidance, and or to enable those buildings to have greater Americans with Disabilities Act compliance and greater accessibility throughout the building for those who may need it and benefit from it. So again, really just quickly hitting on it from my point of view, but we do have a webinar that our school safety manager has put together and shared that you can find online. And this goes into much more depth on how to qualify for this funding and how to spend it, and where there's opportunities for Allegion door hardware to qualify as an appropriate use of these funds to improve facilities in these regards. So all of that said, kind of talking through market need, market opportunity, evolving facilities, with all that in mind and taking into account the changing landscape that we're seeing year after year, especially in the past year, we have designed and launched a new low energy operator, which is named the LCN Compact Operator. Again, it's a low energy operator, it's a modular solution, and I will go through a little bit more detail on what the actual product itself is here on the following slides. So I think I can show you a video.
Opening a door should be simple. and with the LCN compact operator, now it is. It leverages the 4040 XP mechanical closer and attaches to it with a mounting plate and just 4 screws. Power it with a simple wall plug-in adapter, or if preferred, an external power supply. Wireless touchless actuators can be used for hands-free operation. This simple and cost-effective solution is ideal for interior openings, enabling touchless and accessible operation seamlessly.
So the video really hits on the high level kind of solution that we've designed here. So the LCN compact operator is a modular, first to market retrofit ability to first and foremost upgrade existing mechanical openings, which previously hasn't been out there before, which is really exciting. And even in applications that are new construction or don't have a mechanical closer on them already, it's a very simple and easy installation and programming process. So it's a simple and intuitive design. It leverages the 4040 XP, so it's performance you can trust, and it's a cost-effective solution designed for interior openings. So to go into a little bit more detail here, as the video mentioned, it uses an existing 4040 XP. So it's not a modified cylinder assembly. It's not a 4040 XP dash something else. It is a true 4040 XP. So if you are familiar with how to install, maintain, adjust, all of that to the existing LCN 4040 XP, all of that knowledge directly applies here. You can still leverage that green dial, you can still adjust your valves. And then in addition to that, you have a modular electrified motor gearbox that just mounts right onto the exposed pinion there that has some electronic features that you can now adjust as well. So on the electronic module, there are some adjustments for hold open time, opening speed. There are some inputs and outputs to wire in your actuators, or if there's a fire input that you'd like to activate. It can power a wireless receiver for a really simple installation to minimize wires that are run if you'd like wireless RF actuators. So there's a nice hybrid of existing mechanical knowledge that can be leveraged in addition to improving the mechanical experience by now making it automated, touchless, ADA compliant. And again, cost-effective solution. So it's a much simpler installation than something like a traditional frame-mounted, big, heavy automatic operator. And it does only require 24 volts to power. So it doesn't require high voltage electrician landing wire and all the complexity again that comes with a traditional automatic operator. And I hit on this briefly, but it is designed for interior openings. So this isn't meant to replace traditional automatic operators in something like an exterior vestibule that may need all those bells and whistles. This is really just to provide a clean, simple, cost-effective solution to automate interior entryways that may not have been able to have been automated before due to limitations of complexity, cost, labor involved, so on and so forth. And so the applications that I would recommend using this in, I think the most straightforward one is something like a multi-stall restroom that's a free swinging door that maybe it currently has a mechanical closer on it. There's also opportunity for classrooms, waiting rooms, interior suite entrances, individual restrooms with the right sequencing logic that you can kind of rig up separately, but there's quite a bit of interior applications that this could be eligible for to help automate and provide that risk mitigation and code compliance across your facility. And I think that is all that I have prepared for you guys today. We do have a website with all of this information and more, all of our videos and collateral at allegion.com/LCN compact. Again, it's the LCN compact automatic operator, or you can reach out to our very knowledgeable tech support team at the number here. But I still have a few minutes here with you, so we'll gladly take any questions that have come through.
Great, thanks, Erin. We do have a question, and the individual asked, I'm curious as to what mounting types of the 4040 XP the compact is compatible with.
Great question. So it can mount 3 different ways. The 4040 XP should have a rig arm or a regular arm with a parallel shoe. So in a door mount parallel arm application, it will mount there right on the bottom. In a door mount regular arm application, again, it'll mount there right on the bottom on the door. Or actually in this image that you see on the slide here, there's that top jam mount with the regular arm. And in that case, the module would mount right on top of the closer. So 3 different mounting types, 1 arm type with or without a parallel shoe, depending on if it's on the door and that's your desired application. But it is flexible, and we're continuing to evaluate different 4040 XP types that it may be compatible with in the future. But since this is pretty new, those are the approved mounting styles right out of the gate.
Okay, great. Also, how is product availability with the current supply chain issues, especially with electronic components?
That is a great and fair question. So right now, we are okay on electronic components. We're still kind of trying to understand what our day-to-day demand is. This became available for order in July. So we're still kind of feeling out our forecast and getting to a point where we'll have a reliable standard 2-week lead time. But within the month of September, we feel pretty good about shipping as orders come in and as we work through the queue, and we've got a clear line of sight to all of our material at this time.
Okay, thanks, Erin. Next question. Is there a point in the future that you will make a connection to function with locking or latching hardware?
Also a great question. So the product itself doesn't have the ability to power a strike, and it doesn't have a strike input. If you have a desire, so for example, a good example is a single-use gender-neutral ADA restroom, so that you have to lock. It does have the ability through its actuation input to coordinate with, if you've got a power supply and a relay module, and the power supply is providing the power to the strike and the relay module is doing the logic and the sequencing, you can rig it up to have it do a strike application. It just isn't built into the operator because we didn't want to burden the operator with too much for those who just needed a simple application. But we are continuing to evaluate how much of a need that is, and if there's an opportunity in the future to launch like a compact 2.0 that perhaps has that if it's a market need.
Okay, a couple of additional questions. Is an additional mounting plate needed, or does it integrate directly to the closer mount?
It has, so there is a mounting plate, but not in the way that you might be thinking. So there's a mounting plate, I wish I had it at my desk here. There's a mounting plate that goes in between the module and the closer that the module screws onto, but the mounting plate does not go on the door or on the frame. We are working on launching a couple of drop plates for applications where there might be a glass backing, then you don't want to see the module from the other side. But the only mounting plate required for a standard installation is just a little metal plate with a hole for the pinion that you put in between the two. It's kind of sandwiched in between the module and the closer. And it's just 2 screws to get that on, and then 2 screws to get the module onto that mounting plate.
Okay, great, thank you. Next, will this work with HEDA, SCUSH types, or does this cause issues?
So those ARM types aren't currently approved. I believe the engineering team is doing some testing still, but at launch, it's just approved for use with the regular ARM or the regular ARM with the parallel shoe.
Okay, and can this be used on push and pull side?
Yes. I've got to think through which ARM configures to which type, but I know between top jam here and then door mount parallel ARM and door mount reg ARM, there are variations across each of those that should allow for push and pull applications.
Okay. And is this compatible with the LCN 4010 or just the 4040 XP?
Just the 4040 XP at this time. So the 4000 series doesn't have, since it's handed, it doesn't have that exposed pinion that this needs to attach to because of the 4040 XP's design and the pinion exposed on both ends. It allows for this to mount on, but the 4010 doesn't have the design capability for this to latch on.
Okay, and then one last question. Do you have examples of when we would require strike, which is not supported with powered from AO? So basic cost would be great for sharing.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Do you have examples on when we would require strike, ELEC strike, which is not supported or powered from AO?
So I think I've got the question. So for example, a multi-stall restroom that's got a bunch of stalls, but is just a push-pull door with no latch, that can be handled completely by just the operator on its own. In an example of, let's say, a classroom, a lot of classrooms need to have locking hardware. In that case, you'd need an electric strike. The operator would not sequence or power that strike, but you could purchase a power supply like a PS904 with a 4RL to do the logic. And then the power supply could power both the operator and the strike, and that 4RL could do the logic to delay the operator and sequence to allow the strike to retract. Does that, I think that answers the question.
Okay, and you actually will get a copy of all the questions, so
Okay.
you can reach out to the attendees directly. There were a few more questions, but we are running out of time, but know that Aaron can reach out to you directly after this presentation is concluded. So Aaron, any final thoughts before we close?
I think I hit on all my key thoughts, but no, thank you guys for giving me the time to speak to you. Excited to have this out in the market and really hope that it enables you to automate more openings that would have previously been mechanical. So thank you for your time.